Hello, I'm Dr. Lanisha Robinson, your host for Career and Technical Education, #Build a Future. Working in St. Lucie Public Schools with the Career and Technical Education CTE department, we want to show what our teachers and students are doing in the classroom to close a skills gap in multiple fields. The students in these programs are earning industry certifications, creating more opportunities and options for all students after high school graduation. In this upcoming episode, you will meet Chef Christina Gedke-Balaschak and her program alumni, Alana and Isaac, from St. Lucie West Centennial High School, and learn more about the Culinary Arts program. Welcome. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Christina Gedke-Balaschak. I am the lead instructor at St. Lucie West Centennial High School. I've been there for 10 years this school year and 3 years that I've taken over the program this year.
Hi, my name is Alana Gomez. I have been in culinary for 3 years, and I went to the competition twice.
Hi, my name is Isaac. My name is Isaac. I've been in culinary for 4 years, and I've been to the competition 2 years too.
Okay, all right, welcome. So Chef Gedke, Chef B, as your students call you, please explain what exactly is the Culinary Arts program and what does it mean for our students in St. Lucie Public Schools?
Well, our program is very industry-based. Both myself and my other instructor, Chef Fromm, are from the industry. Between the two of us, we have over 30 years of experience, and we want to have the students that are in the course understand that this is what they're going to be going into, so we try to have everything align up with that as much as possible. How we do that is applying 3 different industry certifications. So there's 3 different levels that they could actually acquire those in. The first one, which is a food handler certification, is good for 3 years in the state of Florida. The second one that they could get is the National Registry of Food Safety Professionals, which is also available to select students in the intro program, and is good for 5 years in all 50 states. And then ServSafe is the most advanced industry certification. It's at a management level, and it's good for 5 years in all 50 states as well. And getting those can actually help those students either get more money or get hired over other applicants before anyone else would be.
That's extraordinary. Can you also, now you mentioned that between the two of you all have over, what'd you say, 30 plus years of experience? So can you share with us a little bit about yourself and what you did in the industry prior to coming into the teaching world?
Well, I've actually been doing Pro Start since high school. I went to Central before it was the new Fort Pierce Central, and I was part of the program there where Pro Start was introduced to me. I did 6 years of culinary arts within the 4-year span that I was actually in high school. And while I was there, I was also in the industry. I started at Red Lobster up in Fort Pierce as an alley coordinator when I was 16, which was very young to start in it. And I also wanted to learn more about cakes and things like that before I started culinary school. So I actually went to Publix and applied for a job there and was working with the cake decorator to learn more about that before I went to culinary school, because I know that was my weakness and I wanted to work on it before I went there. I started at Florida Culinary Institute, which actually unfortunately isn't there anymore, but it was off of 45th Street. It was a great culinary school. I went there for the entire program of culinary arts, and then I also went for food and beverage management. While I was there, I had an amazing opportunity to be involved with the Ritz-Carlton, who was opening a members-only club in Jupiter. They came in and they went through a whole process of interviewing, and I actually met my mentor back then. His name is Orla McLendon. I still talk to him. We still cater to this day. He's an amazing chef, and he hired me. I opened up the Ritz-Carlton there. I worked there for 3 years, had the opportunity to work with chefs from Ritz-Carltons all over the world, had some of the best training I'd ever had in my whole life, and I transferred up to Boston Common and worked there for a couple of years as well. So I had a lot of experience with a really great company right off the bat, very young in the industry.
Nice. So as students, when you hear all this about Chef B, what the experience that she brings, do you all see that when you think about your high school experience? Did you all see that back in the classroom?
Absolutely. It's like culinary teacher is way different than any other teacher that I've been exposed to in school. It's like you're in your own division. It's outside of high school. It's not like the normal curriculum. Definitely see the experience. We got to meet so many of her colleagues, many people in other colleges, and networking and seeing all those other people. People have gotten jobs from just knowing Chef B, going into the classrooms because they know what she teaches us. So that's very cool.
And she pushes you a lot. Like, she pushes you a lot. I learned a lot of discipline from her. Like, being in the program, being with her as a teacher, amazing. You like really see how she's a real chef when you like are in her classroom.
Right. So do you all feel like the bar was set high for you all? High expectations?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. But it was nice. It set our own bar, like,
Yeah.
for ourselves. So we learned a lot, like self-control, discipline, like confidence, especially helped a lot.
All right.
Like,
So Chef B, what were the reasons why you left the industry? I know you're still connected to the industry, but
Yeah.
to come into teaching.
Well, it's actually a strange, funny kind of story. I worked in Orlando. I was at the Waldorf Astoria in Hilton Bonnet Creek there. I worked there for 5 years. I had a lot of experience there. It was a really great opportunity also. Very, very good company to work with also, Hilton and Waldorf Astoria. And while I was there, my husband, who is also an executive chef, he got an opportunity to work down south. And I needed to find something closer to home. Never thought I would come back to Port St. Lucie. And I actually called the chef that used to be at Centennial, Calvin Lewis, and said, I need a job. Can you get me a kitchen lady job, like a cafeteria worker? And he said, what are you talking about? What? You don't need that. You're beyond that. You need something else. And I said, I have no idea what else to do. I need to move. I need something else. So he said, well, actually, you remember that job I offered you when you were in culinary school to be an instructor here? It's open again. Because at the time, Chef Strell, who was there with him, he was going to be transferring to Central because Miss Ash was actually retiring and he was going to take over the program. So it just happened with the universe being like, here something is. And I used to always tell my cooks, I can't believe you're grown men and we're having these discussions. I really need to go back and start before all these bad habits start and get to the younger generation. And it worked out. Everything just worked out for me to be able to come in and start working with students. And I had no idea what I was doing for a teacher. I admit that all the time. So I completely treat my classroom as a restaurant and how I would as an executive chef, and with my cooks being who they are and setting it up that way. A lot of even the standards are all industry based. So it was very of the universe to put me in that position. But it was definitely, I needed our generation, the future of the hospitality industry, to do something, to be more than what it was. And with students like these, we're going to have a really great future.
And I love that you mentioned that you're actually was a St. Lucie Public School product that went to industry and now coming back and giving back, because basically your students, they're now going to be groomed to be the next leaders to take over. And I love that aspect. And I actually am so grateful that you invited me into your classroom to be able to see some of the hands-on demonstrations and actually see it's like a well-oiled machine, and how you run that classroom to where I didn't even realize I was looking at students. I felt like I was actually in a professional kitchen environment. So kudos to you, and I know you all appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I wanted to also talk about, you had mentioned that you have personal experience, but are you also still connected to industry still?
Yes, when I'm actually in school, I try to still keep myself connected as much as I can. Like I mentioned, I work with an extraordinary chef, and he has different clients, and he'll call me up and say, are you available? And then I'll go out and we'll do different jobs together. It's always a private chef job. And it could be in LA, or it could be in Vegas, or it could be down in Boynton or Boca or Palm Beach. And it gives me a way to still stay connected to it because I'm so passionate about this industry. I've loved it forever. It's pretty much the only thing I ever wanted to do. And it gives me an opportunity to share what I'm doing with my students. There's been a few times where I would be in class with them. Remember, I would hook my phone up to the screen and show them different pictures or videos from different things that I've done at my job, so it still keeps me connected to it. And then my other chef that I work with, Chef Evan Fromm, he actually started his own boba business, so he has his own business as well. So we have two different types of jobs that are offered where the students can really see us doing something, and we're not just talking about doing it. We're still involved in it.
Nice. Now, I saw you all kind of looking at each other like, wow. So now for you two, you all are alumni of St. Lucie West Centennial, alumni of the Culinary Arts program. Now, what's going on with you all these days?
Right now, we're both in IRSC taking advantage of the Promise program and getting our associate's degrees. I am currently pursuing a health science degree, and I hope to someday transfer to a school that helps me marry that with food technology, because I want to work closely with food again and kind of veer more away from the medical and back into culinary because I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm currently in business, studying business marketing, and I'm getting my associate's at IRC, like she said, but I'm going to transfer to UCF, track my bachelor's while working at Universal, because they offer for tuition pay, and I'll get a lot more experience there. So in being in Orlando, there's a lot of restaurants where I could work at, so I just get constant experience. And my career goal is to start my own catering business after I graduate and build it up from there.
Please share when that happens so I can personally come out, because I know you all do, like I said again when I was mentioning earlier, when I was visiting your campus and seeing the students in action, I was able to sample that food, and I must say I was blown away, not just by the skills but by the level of quality of the food and the taste. I mean, it was just, yes, so thank you for that experience.
You're welcome.
Can I add to the catering? Mm-hmm. We have a lot of like catering experience from this class. We've catered multiple like principal events, teacher events, and like housed for our school. So that in itself, like it feels like you're working a job while you're in school, and like you could be telling people that, oh, in class I had to make 300 desserts for these and like set up a whole design, and it gets you ready for catering, and it shows you all the different aspects of it. And then you're getting everything ready, and it's also like you're working in design, you're making everything look pretty and presentable, and it's really, really fun.
Mm-hmm. So why did you both decide to go into Culinary Arts program?
Well, my dad, he used to be a chef, not like used to be, but he still is. He used to have his own food truck. So like I felt inspired by because my family is kind of full of like chefs. So I felt inspired to get into culinary, and I feel like, hey, I might like this. So I joined it out of a whim. Ended up staying there for 4 years and loving it, and now it's like I found out what I wanted to do in my life, and that's why I learned so many things I wouldn't have never learned if I never joined the program, and now I have my career that I want to follow.
Right.
I joined culinary because I am still really obsessed with like cooking and finding new recipes and copying them, and I like to sort of brag to my friends like, oh, look what I made, and here you go, and they're like, oh my god, this is so good. And I really wanted to be in a class where I could cook and also tell people what I made, what I learned, and then in that you're also learning like safety techniques of what most people don't learn while they're in a kitchen to avoid a bunch of like different injuries. So we learned how to handle different knives, how to sharpen our knives, which I never learned how to do. So like at home you could just like get the little block and then learning how to sharpen it. And then we also worked with many different devices that now, like there's a sous vide machine that's at our school. It has like a Bob Marley little signal on it, and I've never like seen one in person. So like geeking out about like those cooking tools is I've always done that, and like looking at the cooking aisles in supermarkets, just like going around it, I wanted to be able to do that in school.
So Chef B, one of the key aspects for St. Lucie Public Schools and career education is to make sure that there's a pathway from the middle school level to high school and then either post-secondary to career. So what are you doing to market your program to middle school students and also for the community?
Well, I'm actually really excited you asked that. I've been in contact with Miss Tiffany Tredor over at Northport, and we have sort of been going back and forth with the idea of how to do that and how to incorporate and how to pull the middle school kids up. And we actually came up with a Thankful for CTE event that we're going to be doing. So she's going to be picking her top 8th graders, and they're going to be coming over to St. Lucie West Centennial, and we're going to create a menu that is sort of Thanksgiving based. They'll be partnered up with my advanced students. They'll be there 4 hours with us. They'll prepare those dishes, and we'll plate everything in a buffet style, and then we'll sit down and have that meal together where they actually get to sample everything. And we're going to try and do this every year, or at least the Thankful for CTE to go along with the Thanksgiving theme, or also it'll either be fall and spring. So we're going to try and incorporate more of those middle school students to come up and actually experience it and see if they're really interested in it and get them exposed that way.
Okay, that's a great opportunity. So, and then also, what else are you all doing? Like virtual field trips? Are you doing anything like that this year?
Well, we were doing virtuals, but now that we have the opportunity to stay away from virtual, that was more the COVID time. We have an amazing sponsor that's really, really involved in our school, Mr. Kyle Green. He's actually an alumni from Centennial. He graduated in 2004, and he has been amazing. Both him and his chief of staff, Doug Poole, they actually contacted the school a few years ago and were talking to me about FRALA, which is the Florida Restaurant Lodging Association, where you can adopt a school. So they wanted to be part of that and sponsor us. So we actually have multiple field trips that are set up throughout the year that go to all these Kyle G restaurants. We have one coming up where we're going to be going to the Oyster Bar in St. Lucie West. The Chicken Place is the newest one that we're going to be going to, so the students are very excited about going to that one. We have our Pro Start team, that's our main competition team. They're going to be going to Seafood Prime, that's the main Jensen location. And then we also went to Nona's and Nostalgia. And when the giant silver heart in tradition is done, there's going to be an Italian restaurant, Amore, that's behind there. So we're excited to get to that one also. But they have numerous opportunities to go to all these Kyle G restaurants. And we also have Mr. Howard Fabian, who's at Bonefish Mac. We actually go to his Becker location, and they're able to tour the entire restaurant over there. So they go to the front of the house, they go to the back of the house, they can talk to a bartender, they can talk to a dishwasher, they can talk to one of the line cooks. So no matter if they're interested in front of the house or the back of the house, they're exposed to all the different areas there. And most of the time when we go, the restaurant is closed to the public, so they have the entire establishment to go through everything. And then depending on the location and how much time we have and which chef is there, they've been able to make things. When we went to Nona, they were making angelati in the back. They made pizza up front. When we went to Nostalgia, they made lasagna, and then they actually get to sit down and they could talk to the different representatives that are there and enjoy their meal that they made together. So it's a really great opportunity for them to get around to the different restaurants locally. Kyle G's, though, is absolutely amazing. He is so dedicated to our school, and Mr. Doug Poole, his chief of staff, he's come out and been a guest speaker. We actually started 2 different guest speaker events this year where he opened up the school year with Welcome to the Industry, and he started talking a little bit about the industry, what's involved, how they could go through the process of getting hired. And then we're going to have a follow-up guest speaker event where he'll come in, and it's called Interviewing 101, and he's going to actually sit down and go through different techniques for when you're in a job interview. So we're really excited about both of those coming up this year also.
Wow, and I see you all shaking your heads. Were you all also a part of those opportunities?
Yes, I love the field trips so much. When we went to different restaurants and we got to see front of the house and back of the house and tour the kitchen, it's surprising to see like an actual kitchen and like, especially if you've eaten there before, like, oh wow, this is the kitchen, here's where they make all this stuff, and usually it's so condensed than what you'd see in our standard commercial kitchen. So it's a very different experience, and they like go over, like how G goes over how he designed different places, how it's personal to him. And then in college now, I'll be going across the campus and I see flyers of the culinary program that's in Vero Beach, and I see like, oh, Kyle G's restaurant on there, like as a flyer at IRC's campus. So he's like very close and centered with Centennial, and like someone to look up to when you're looking over manager positions or like building a business. Like we've had talks with him, we've talked to his staff, we've talked to Doug Poole, and it's really cool that they have really integrated their restaurants with our program.
To add on to that, the exposure we get from all the restaurants really helps. Like if you, currently I'm in the industry right now. I work at the Legacy at PGA over there, and it really helped going through all those restaurants, learning like the back of the house, the front of the house, how they work, the bartenders, how the food is made, how the food is disposed. Eat everything. It just helps so much. Everything that Kyle G, like the way he sponsored our school helped us so much. And all the tours that he did, beautiful. It's just, I'm reminiscing. I miss it so much. I love it.
So you had also mentioned that you're working currently, right? So do you feel like sometimes like those are in levels of management, they look at you like, wow, like they like see all this in a student? Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, when I first got the job, I felt like I was super like over, I felt like over prepared, Because when I got in there, I was like, oh, well, I know everything that I'm supposed to be doing, and they're trying to teach me, but I'm pretty aware of it all because all the certifications I have and all the experience I have at the school. So like, it helped a lot during my time over there, and I just flowed in. I just fit right in, and I never felt like an outsider working there, and I don't feel like I will ever again at an industry because of this program.
Wow. So do you hear what your alumni students are saying about you and your program and all the success that they're having because of what you started for them? So, and I know they were already mentioning, but even before the show, like how much pride they have in the Culinary Arts program. If we were to shadow a student in the classroom, like take us through, like what would we see if we were to shadow you all in the classroom?
So we're starting off on our opening of the year. So it's a little bit different in the first 9 weeks versus any other 9 weeks. And this is in association to the upper level, which is year 2, 3, and the advanced level, which is years 4 through 6. The intro level, they are in a every other day situation with Chef Fromm, and they're learning the fundamentals. We use a ProStart program, the Foundations Management textbook there, and that's all of level 1. It takes them an entire school year to go through all of that. Most of the students are not happy about having to sit down and do all of the bookwork and go through everything, but there is so much that's involved and so many different things that you need to know fundamentally for the program. That's when they really do that. We also incorporate different labs while they're with us, so they do have the exposure to that. But in that first year, there's a lot of fundamental work. So once they get through that and they come up to the upper levels with myself, our first 9 weeks we push the industry certification ServSafe, or NRFSP if they didn't acquire it as intro, which both of them are, like I had mentioned before, they're both management certifications. It's really great that we do both of them because NRFSP is geared towards more of the convenience store type things where Publix really recognizes that certification, and then ServSafe is more a restaurant style management one. So we have both that are offered, and a lot of the times our students are certified in both. So that first 9 weeks, what we're in right now, is really going through a heavy industry-based course. Then we start incorporating getting to know the labs. This is commercial versus where they were in intro, it was non-commercial, which a non-commercial kitchen is the type of kitchen, if you're at home and you're thinking about the electric stove and the smaller area there and your smaller refrigerator, that's the setup that they would have in a non-commercial kitchen. The commercial kitchen is the type of kitchen you would think about when you're watching all these big cooking shows and everything's shiny and silver. That's our commercial kitchen, and we have gas there, so we have actual fire that we're working with in there. So the second 9 weeks is when we really start getting into our labs that are more advanced, and a lot of our labs are based off of the curriculum from ProStart. There's specific chapters in each of the books, and we would follow along with that, but both Chef Fromm and I, we have the different backgrounds, we can sort of play with what we're doing in there and see what the kids' interests are. So we could do a survey initially to start off to see what they're interested in, go off of those, and then incorporate what we think they really need to know. So there's a lot of different variety in it, but we do a lot of different things throughout.
Okay. And some of the key highlights from what you were just mentioning is that you mentioned industry certifications. That is a cost-saving benefits and a time-saving benefit for your students, right?
Yes.
Now, can you just list for us once again, what exactly are those industry certifications and what can students do with those certifications?
So there's 3 that are actually offered. In intro, which is, like I said, the full year, there's Safe Staff. Safe Staff is a food handler. So this is a very thin, very intro to sort of the food service industry in general. It's only a food handler though, and it's only good in the state of Florida. If you went to any other state, you wouldn't be able to use it. But this is good for 14, 15, 16-year-olds, and they're trying to get a job somewhere, because this is literally something for handling food. So they know how they should be doing it, when they should be washing their hands, how they should be exposing, all the very basic things that they need to know, but it can help them get a job. A lot of the time in a restaurant, wherever you go, they have to do training, period. So having one of these, going in and already knowing a lot of that, that's gonna incorporate that. A lot of the time, if they do have it, those people that are hiring them, whichever restaurant or facility it is, they won't have to put them through the training, so it won't cost them that extra money, so they could potentially give that student more money for it. Then for the next level, there's NRFSP, which is the National Registry of Food Safety Professionals, which is more convenient store-based, but it's also management. So if they were to go in for an interview with that, any of the grocery stores will take that, and then most of the time, because it's management, any restaurant would also take it. And then it's the same thing. they already have the training, they already have the industry certification. It's good for 5 years in all 50 states. So if they're with us, they get it with us in our program, and they move to California and they want to work out there, they would already have this certification that's good for however many more years they've had since they've taken it, and you do it every 5 years. ServSafe is our most advanced certification that we do. We do that with all the upper level and advanced students. Again, that one is management. It's good for 5 years, and you could go anywhere in all 50 states and get it. That one, as well as the NRFSP, literally if you're sitting down in an interview, the person interviewing our students would have to have this certification. So if they're sitting there as a 25, 30-year-old, 45-year-old, and they have this industry certification, and the 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old that has the same certification, it gets to be pretty impressive for them because they can actually go through and answer these questions, and they're really knowledgeable about all the topics that they've gone through.
Okay. Have you all earned industry certification before you graduated from high school?
Yes. So I was gonna bring up the ServSafe one. We've gotten our ServSafe. It was in our second year, I think. And now, if I'm going to like a random restaurant, and we'll usually see all the ServSafe logos like posted on the wall of all the different names, and it's like, oh wow, we have that. Oh wow, we have that. Or like when we look up jobs in the things, most of the requirements will be like food manager certification. Like, oh wow, I already have that. We already have that. And they don't expire for like I think 3 years, so we have a good timeline of like how we're going to get into that job. And getting all those certifications, it gives you bragging rights because you've studied for it, and you got to do it in school. And it's not that difficult to study for if you have, if you're working in a kitchen, if you see it up close, and you have the books with you. So it's a really good opportunity that we're doing in school.
The certifications, like, they really help with when you're applying for a job as a student and you have those certifications, they really put you a higher level. Like if an employer looks at you and you have that certification, it really helps with like getting that job. But overall, like you notice so many little things when you're eating out or you're cooking at home. You notice so many little things about how you're cooking, what's going in the food, what's the procedure of how the chef is cooking it and how it's coming out, and you just start to have like this like third sense of just like seeing everything after that. But the ServSafe, the studying is grueling. It's like a while, but it's really worth it. Really worth it.
It definitely changes how you cook, because now you're like, oh, this shouldn't stay out here for too long, and like the home techniques of when you would usually cook, where it's like, oh, if your mom would leave this out for the entire day, now you're like, oh, no.
Can't have that.
Can't have that. Time and temperature, that's going to make it go bad. And like all like the food safety, like I never was introduced into a 3-compartment sink until I went into culinary, and I'm like, wow, this is really useful.
Okay. All right, so one last point I want to mention as we prepare to close. College saving benefits, college credits. Can you explain a little bit to us about that?
So industry-based, again with ServSafe and NRFSP. NRFSP is good for 2 college hours at IRSC. It may be different at another college or a university around here, and then ServSafe is good for 3 college hours. So both of them, they get in high school, they can get a job, and then they could also get credits towards college. So it's super beneficial for them. And like Isaac mentioned, it's grueling, and we're really tough on it. We set very, very high standards in our classrooms, and then the industry standard is there also, so we really push the students to go beyond what they should be doing. Yeah.
And last point, if we wanted more information, the community is watching.
Yeah.
Where can they find more information about your program?
Well, we are currently working on a website for Culinary Arts. We haven't had the opportunity to do it in the past, and this year we got the go to start on that. And then we also have an Instagram that you could follow to see everything for probably the past 7 years, and it's SOW Centen _ Culinary Eagles _.
Okay. And then also your school website?
Yes.
And then also our Lucie Public Schools Career and Technical Education website.
Correct. And Facebook. Centennial does have a Facebook page, but you can find different things on there. But we post a lot of stuff on Instagram.
So all the social media outlets, basically. Love it. All right. Thank you. I'm Dr. Lanisha Robinson, and this is Career and Technical Education, #Build a Future. I encourage you to view our St. Lucie Public Schools Career and Technical Education page. In Career and Technical Education, we are establishing a pipeline from secondary to post-secondary and career pathways for all of our students. We are building a future and continuing to close the skills gap. On behalf of the station's team, I would like to thank you for joining us today.